For years, Linux Mint has quietly been one of the most trusted names in the Linux world. Not flashy, not loud, not chasing trends, just steady, familiar, and comforting. It is the operating system people recommend when they want someone to fall in love with Linux instead of fighting it. So when people whisper about the idea of a Linux Mint phone, it doesn't sound like a wild experiment or a marketing stunt. It sounds like something that could actually feel right in your hands, something that feels human instead of corporate, calm instead of chaotic. Imagine picking up a phone that doesn't scream for your attention. No addictive animations begging you to swipe again. No notifications engineered to spike your dopamine. Just a clean, gentle interface that feels like it was designed for you, not for advertisers. The Linux Mint phone wouldn't try to reinvent what a phone is, it would respect what a phone should be. A tool that works for you quietly, reliably, without drama. The first thing you would notice is familiarity. If you've ever used Linux Mint on a desktop, there's this immediate sense of relief when you boot it up. The menus make sense. The settings are where you expect them to be. Nothing feels hidden or intentionally confusing. That same philosophy would carry over to the phone. The home screen wouldn't be a chaotic grid of apps fighting for attention. It would be clean, structured, calm. A taskbar-style dock at the bottom, a simple app menu, widgets that actually provide information instead of noise. It wouldn't feel like learning a new device. It would feel like coming home. Under the hood, the Linux Mint phone would be deeply rooted in Linux itself. Not a locked-down imitation, not a heavily restricted environment pretending to be open. Real Linux, a proper package manager, real file access, real control. You would be able to browse your file system like an adult, not like a child given permission to see only what the system allows. You could connect your phone to your computer and actually see your files without special apps or cloud accounts. Just plug it in and it behaves like a computer because that's what it is. Privacy would not be a feature. It would be the default. No telemetry running silently in the background. No data collection disguised as improving user experience. No accounts required just to turn the phone on. You wouldn't need to sign into anything to make a call or send a message. The phone wouldn't ask for your soul in exchange for basic functionality. Updates would be transparent, optional, and respectful. You would know what is changing and why, and you would be able to say no. The emotional weight of that is hard to overstate. We've grown so used to phones that feel like they own us. Phones that listen, track, analyze, predict, and monetize every tap. A Linux Mint phone would feel different. It would feel like trust. Like someone finally built a device assuming you are competent and deserve respect. The user interface would likely be based on something lightweight and efficient. Maybe a touch-optimized version of Cinnamon or a custom Mint shell designed specifically for mobile. Animations would be smooth but restrained. No unnecessary visual noise. Everything would exist for a reason. Battery life wouldn't be sacrificed for flashy effects. Performance would feel consistent and predictable, even on modest hardware. That's always been one of Linux Mint's strengths, making average hardware feel excellent. App management would be refreshingly honest. Instead of a single corporate app store filled with trackers and ads, you'd have access to open-source repositories, Flatpaks, maybe even containerized desktop Linux apps, adapted for touch. You wouldn't be locked into one ecosystem. You could install apps from multiple sources, or even compile your own if you wanted. Power users would feel empowered, not constrained. Casual users would feel safe, not overwhelmed. And yes, there would be challenges. The app ecosystem would never be as bloated as Android or iOS, and that's okay. The Linux Mint phone wouldn't be about having 10 different apps that all do the same thing while spying on you in different ways. It would focus on quality, privacy-respecting alternatives. Messaging, calling, browsing, media, navigation, productivity. The essentials done well. And for many people, that's more than enough. One of the most beautiful ideas surrounding a Linux Mint phone is convergence. Plug it into a monitor, connect a keyboard and mouse, and suddenly you're using a full Linux desktop. Not a fake desktop mode, not a limited environment, but a real session. The same applications, the same files, the same workflow. One device that adapts to your life instead of forcing you to adapt to it. That moment, when your phone becomes your computer, would feel quietly revolutionary. The hardware itself wouldn't need to chase flagship specs. Linux Mint has never been about winning spec wars. It would prioritize reliability, compatibility, and long-term support. A solid mid-range processor, good battery life, decent cameras, and excellent Linux driver support. Bootloader unlocked by default. Repair-friendly design. Replaceable battery if possible. A phone designed to last years, not months. Updates would be slow, careful, and stable. No sudden redesigns that break muscle memory. No features removed because they don't fit a new monetization strategy. The phone you buy would remain the phone you know. That kind of stability creates an emotional bond. You stop worrying about your device changing overnight. You start trusting it. There's also something deeply emotional about the community aspect. Linux Mint has always felt like it's built by people who actually use it, not executives looking at charts. A Linux Mint phone would likely grow slowly, shaped by feedback from real users. Bugs would be acknowledged. Mistakes would be admitted. Improvements would be thoughtful. You wouldn't feel ignored. Using such a phone in daily life would feel different in subtle ways. You'd notice how quiet it is. No random notifications. No ads disguised as system messages. No pre-installed junk you can't remove. Just silence when you want silence. Focus when you need focus. That alone would reduce stress in ways most people don't even realize they need. There's also a sense of rebellion in it, but a gentle one, not loud or aggressive. Just quietly choosing something better. Choosing control over convenience theater. Choosing freedom over dependency. The Linux Mint phone wouldn't try to convert everyone. It wouldn't care about market share. It would exist for people who want something calmer, cleaner, more honest. For long-time Linux users, it would feel like a dream finally made real. For newcomers, it would feel surprisingly approachable. That's the magic of Linux Mint. It makes powerful things feel simple without dumbing them down. Translating that philosophy to a phone could genuinely change how people think about mobile computing. In a world where phones have become extensions of corporate surveillance systems, the idea of a Linux Mint phone feels almost emotional. Like a reminder that technology doesn't have to be hostile, that devices can respect their users, that software can feel warm instead of manipulative. Holding a Linux Mint phone wouldn't feel like holding the future in some flashy sci-fi sense. It would feel like holding something grounded, something human, something built with care instead of urgency. And maybe that's exactly what so many people are craving without even realizing it. It wouldn't try to impress you on day one with gimmicks. It would win you over slowly, day after day, by simply working, by staying out of your way, by letting you live your life without constantly demanding your attention. That kind of relationship with technology is rare now, and that's why the idea of a Linux Mint phone feels so powerful. It's not just about Linux on a phone. It's about trust, control, calm, and respect. It's about remembering that technology is supposed to serve us, not the other way around. And if Linux Mint ever does bring a phone into the world, it wouldn't just be another device. It would be a quiet statement that things can be better, simpler, and more humane, one pocket-sized computer at a time.